Why it's not time to panic with the New York Knicks. After starting out very well in the playoffs and especially in the series with a 2-0 lead, the last two games have definitely not went the New York Knicks' way, and especially in game 4, it was an absolute disaster for New York. Everything that could have went wrong did go wrong.
We started slowly, they made shots, got a big lead, snowballed, so we gotta respond.
Yeah, we're shorthanded, but that doesn't matter right now. We have what we have, and we need to go forward with that. So there's no excuse whatsoever.
It's not over. You come back to the Garden, that adrenaline, it could galvanize the team. They could ultimately pull out a game 5.
They've got 2 days to hit back. They've got 2 days to rest. This is terrific. This is probably going 7.
And after that horrible performance in Game 4, a lot of Knicks fans and a lot of NBA fans around the league are starting to think the Knicks are a little bit too worn down and things can go downhill very quickly for New York going forward from here. But in my opinion, I don't think it's time to panic just yet with this New York Knicks team. But quickly, before we get the video started, for those of you who may not know, I'm Juicy Sports. I make opinionated NBA content, and if you guys enjoy videos similar to this, hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that post notification bell. I also want to quickly mention that I recently started up an MMA channel, and if you guys are interested in that, the link will be in the description. But anyways, let's get into it. When you look at what the New York Knicks were able to do this season, it's been nothing short of incredible. After starting out the season not too well, a little bit choppy with around a 500 record, ever since the New York Knicks were able to acquire OG Anunoby, it seemed like everything completely changed for the better. As the Knicks were starting to compile wins, they were playing a lot better offensively, they were playing significantly better defensively, and going into the playoffs, although Julius Randle did end up going down with a season-ending injury, a lot of fans were very excited to see what this Knicks team can do in the playoffs. But although there was a lot of hype and excitement going into the playoffs, their first round matchup versus the Philadelphia 76ers was not going to be easy. Although the Sixers definitely did struggle significantly during the regular season, it was mostly due to injuries, and going into the playoffs, although Embiid wasn't 100%, he was out there playing, and of course Tyrese Maxey was playing at an extremely high level going into the series versus the Knicks. But the series went just about as well as you can possibly want for New York, as they were able to win both games at home. They were able to take 2 games in Philadelphia in game 4 and in game 6, and of course the Knicks were able to end up winning the series in only 6 games. And although the Knicks were playing extremely well during the regular season and there was a lot of hype and excitement going into the playoffs, the fact that the Knicks were able to beat the Sixers in very decisive fashion was extremely exciting to Knicks fans and was definitely a great sign going forward in the playoffs from here. Because although there was a lot of hype and excitement around the Knicks, the sports books and a lot of fans around the NBA had the Sixers as the favorite, so the fact that the Knicks were basically able to run through Philadelphia was a phenomenal sign. And going into their second round matchup against the Indiana Pacers, a lot of fans, including myself, actually thought this would be an easier matchup than the Sixers were for New York. And early on in the first 2 games, that's exactly what it looked like, as the Knicks were able to win both games, and although they were close games, the Knicks played their best basketball in the clutch time and they were able to prevail in both game 1 and in game 2. But unfortunately, after those 2 great victories, things started to go a little bit downhill forward from there. As in game 3, a lot of people in the media and a lot of fans around the NBA thought the Knicks should punt that game and rest some of their starters. As Brunson did get hurt in game 2, they had some other injuries on the roster, and fans and media around the NBA thought maybe it would be a good idea to rest some of their main guys, punt, lose game 3, and go forward into game 4 with a more rested team. But obviously when game 3 came around, the Knicks were not doing that. They were playing all their guys and they were trying to win that game. And things were actually going really well for New York, as they were controlling the majority of the 4th quarter, having a double-digit lead at one point in that quarter, and I did think there was a real chance that the Knicks could win this game and go up 3-0. And obviously, if the Knicks were able to go up 3-0, the series was essentially over. But of course, the Pacers were able to come back and win game 3. But at the time, I thought even though the Pacers did have a nice comeback victory, I thought it was still a real backbreaker for them. As the Knicks were up 2-0 already going into that game 3, a lot of fans fans and a lot of media around the NBA was talking about the Knicks punting, and not only did the Knicks not punt, but they were being very competitive with the Pacers in Game 3, and they probably should have won. So I thought psychologically that could be a real backbreaker for Indiana, even though they did win. But at the end of the day, the real reality was it was a backbreaker for the New York Knicks. Not due to the fact that they lost, but more so due to the fact that they lost OG Anunoby, probably for the series, as he ended up going down with an injury in that game, and it really became a huge factor in Game 4. As in Game 4, it was an absolute disaster. The Knicks ended up getting blown out by around 40 points, and that's currently where we are at today, where a lot of Knicks fans are extremely disappointed and extremely nervous about where the Knicks can go forward from here, and a lot of fans around the NBA think the series is essentially over and the Pacers are going to win. But as I mentioned before, in my opinion, I don't think it's time to panic. And a question that some of you may be wondering at this point is, why do I feel that way? Well, in my opinion, it comes down to a couple different factors, but the first factor is due to the fact that the series is tied. Because when you look at the series, although Game 4 was an absolute disaster, you don't get extra points or extra wins for winning by a certain amount. At the end of the day, the Knicks have 2 wins and the Pacers have 2 wins. The Knicks did their job at home and the Pacers did their job at home. And going forward into Game 5, I do think the Knicks are going to play a lot better. Of course, they ended up getting embarrassed in Game 4, and I think that would be a great motivator, but also besides that, they're going back home and they're playing where they play best, and that's in Madison Square Garden. And also when you look at the Indiana Pacers, they have a 1-4 or a 1-5 record on the road in the playoffs so far, and clearly they don't play nearly as well on the road as they do at home. And if the Knicks are able to win Game 5, I do still think they're going to win this series. I think whoever wins Game 5 is going to win the series. And based upon the fact that Game 5 is in New York, I think the Knicks have a golden opportunity. But another reason for why I think it's not time to panic for the Knicks is I just believe in Jaylen Brunson and what the Knicks have. I think although a lot of their guys didn't play well when you talk about Jaylen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, and Josh Hart in Game 4, I think going forward into Game 5, all 3 of those guys are going to play a lot better. I'm expecting Brunson to have one of his Brunson playoff games. Even if he doesn't get to 40 points, maybe he gets somewhat close, maybe he plays relatively efficient basketball, facilitates the ball around, and just becomes a real factor for New York. If he's able to do that, he gives the Knicks a chance to win. I fully expect Josh Hart to get back to the basketball that he was playing throughout the playoffs, hustle on both offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds, play really good defense, do a nice job at hitting some clutch threes at times, do a great job at grabbing a rebound on one side of the court and quickly driving all the way down to the other side and finishing around players with crafty layups. I expect Dante DiVincenzo to get going once again, hitting those catch and shoot 3-point jumpers, doing a great job at driving to the basket, facilitating a little bit. And I think if all 3 of those guys step up, I think the Knicks have a real chance to win Game 5. And a positive for that trio in Game 4 is although that game was an absolute disaster, nothing really went well for the trio or for the Knicks as a whole, the one positive that you can take away from that game is a lot of their guys, including the big 3, ended up getting extended periods of rest. And a lot of fans and a lot of media has been talking about the lack of rest that these players have been getting throughout this entire playoff series and probably throughout the entire playoffs. So the fact that the Knicks were able to rest a lot of their guys in Game 4 should actually be a positive going home into Game 5. But the last factor for why I think it's not time to panic with this Knicks team is due to the emergence of Alec Burks. Although a lot of guys did end up going down with injuries, and of course it's not ideal, at the end of the day, the Knicks found a new player that they already had on the roster that's been contributing significantly, and I do think he has a huge chance to help the Knicks win this series, and that player is Alec Burks. Although Alec Burks has not played throughout the entire playoffs and really throughout the entire second half of the season, he has done a great job at doing what he does best throughout his career, and that's score the basketball. And the fact that the Knicks are getting another guy that can score at the caliber that Burks is able to score at is actually going to be a huge fact. I think he's going to help out a little bit of that depth or lack thereof they have coming off their bench, and even if he was to be placed in their starting lineup, I think he's going to also be a huge factor. So overall at this point, although things have not been going well as of late for the Knicks, I don't necessarily think it's time to panic, at least at this point, but I guess only time will tell what does end up happening. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think it's time to panic at this point for the Knicks, or do you not think so? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, check one of these 2 videos popping up now, and until the next time, peace out guys.